today I would like to talk about everything to do with artificial intelligence or AI and technology and how it is changing or shaping the way in which we're working in today's world. So with me today, I have Christian, the CEO and co-founder of HeroX. So let's dive right into it. And Christian, I want to ask, what is your take on the rise of AI and technology? It's something that we can't deny right now. It's faster and faster every day. And what are your thoughts on how it's actually shaping the way we're working in today's world?
AI, and you can put robotics in the same category. Robots are a hot topic right now. There's a lot of rhetoric and debate about the impact of this. And the term that's important is technological unemployment. The idea that similar to other periods in history, robots and AI, in other words, automation, is going to displace work. And the story of the Luddites is a great example. I don't know if you remember, but the Luddites were weavers. Weavers? They made sweaters. Anyways, and the owner of the sweater factory bought a bunch of looms, which can do the work of 50 people and make sweaters 50 times faster. So the Luddites smashed all the looms and generally raged, probably yelling about Occupy Wall Street and the 1%ers and all that or something. So the scary thing about what's happening now is the technology has gotten rid of jobs that we really hate. Since the Industrial Revolution, technology has gotten rid of jobs we hate and kept us with moving up to jobs that are better. So I don't think anybody wants to, dig coal with their bare hands anymore. I think that's a bad thing, right? So now we have machines that do that, right? And I don't, I think I read an article about how the greatest invention, like in terms of gender equality and fixing the disparity, I think they said the greatest invention for women was the washer and dryer, because it calculated something like the free time for women. Because even now today, what is it about women are supposed to do laundry in a mixed gender house? But that's actually a thing. I don't know, it's really bizarre. But it's added something like 25% of discretionary free time to women having washer and dryer. Because I don't know if you've tried to wash and dry clothes by hand, but it's brutal. So technology's done almost all good by helping get rid of the jobs we don't like to that. There is a warning there, which is that when there's been technology disruption that's been implemented quickly, it displaces an entire generation of workers. Meaning, when the looms were rolled out in the textile industry, the displaced workers, they never recovered. They just got old and died, and it took a generation to deal with that displacement. So that's something that we should take pause for. Now, you look back in history and you don't see that suffering from the disruption. Now, of course, technology is threatening white-collar work, knowledge work. It's threatening to compete for our highest kind of human activity of thinking, right? And that's the scary thing, because where do we go from there? Now, my view is really simple. I think like everything, the hype gets ahead of itself, and I actually have a couple of bets out there with people who I won't name, about who have made proclamations like, my children won't ever need a driver's license because by the time they're 16, cars won't have steering wheels. And I'm like, oh yeah, you want to bet? And also, the how AI is going to, be better than humans at a bunch of different activities. If you actually look at what's actually happening with AI today, like how it's actually being used, it's actually very disappointing in almost every way. I read an article the other day that said something like 65% of startups that claim they're using AI like as a buzzword aren't actually using AI in their products. I think there's a lot of that going on where AI is a buzzword, but it's not really moving the needle. A while ago, there was an AI assistant company that got in trouble because it was discovered that it wasn't really using AI. Like this is a company that you send messages to an AI, like a virtual assistant, like
Yeah.
do this, do that, schedule this, schedule that, and it turns out that their AI wasn't good enough to do it, so they had humans that had to screen the requests and work with the AIs to fix it and make it work. And
Yeah.
that was kind of false advertising. So the quick version is that the world is too complicated and too nuanced, and there are too many edge cases for AI to work the way that it's been envisioned. And if you go to look at the best robots, for example, that are in production, this is what it looks like. They're bolted to the floor. There's a cage around them that no humans are allowed to get into because it'll rip your arm off because it's not smart enough to know it can't swing a part over and not hit you in the face. So it's put into this cocoon that eliminates all edge cases. I'm a software developer by background, right? So I think in terms of use cases, right?
Okay.
So driving, an edge case is like this. I'm okay. I'm driving on the highway. Okay, there's an obstacle in my lane, right?
Right.
Like I have to swerve. Oh, wait a second. I think it's a plastic bag. Is it a plastic bag or is it like, like a piece of wood? Because I don't want to hit a piece of wood. But if it's a plastic bag, I should not swerve, to avoid a plastic bag.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's an example of an edge case, right?
Mhm.
A lot of those, if you drive and you just pay attention, and I'm thinking about this a lot when I drive because of my bet. Bets are a good way to focus your mind, by the way.
Hmm.
And I notice all the little edge cases. It also helps that I own a Tesla that has some self-driving features, which my wife calls the drunken teenager mode, because her view is that the Tesla autopilot is about as good as a drunken teenager in terms of
Uh-huh.
driving, which is quite funny. So in other words, we have a lot longer way to go before the fictionalized or envisioned AI is actually going to be here and be so good that we're done. There's a UK company that's built a robot cook. It cooks meals, okay? And they've raised a bunch of money. It's hugely hyped. But here's what it looks like. It's like it's a robot that cooks you dinner. That's like if anybody who's watched the Jetsons understands that, and that's pretty cool. But if you actually look at their demo, you'll notice two things. First off, the demo isn't real demo. It's actually more of a it's much more of a like a propped up demo than an
Mhm.
actual live demo. Secondly, for the thing to work, first off, it's the shape of a kitchen counter. Okay, the robot is the size of a kitchen counter, and a glass shield rolls down before the robot arm moves. So it's the same thing. It's literally a kitchen counter that closes itself so it can start cooking. And then all the ingredients have to be in these little easy to grab containers. So
Mhm.
you have to prepare all the materials, put them in these little containers. Like it's almost like, the limitations of it can't just go in the kitchen, grab an onion, or sorry, go in the fridge, grab an onion, peel the onion, and you can't do any of that, right? It can grab a little container in a pre-planned slot with chopped onion in it. It can
Mhm.
grab that and lift it and pour it into a pot. Well, you know what? I can do that with the Lego robot kit.
Yeah.
That's not that exciting. So we have a long way to go.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not Rosie from the Jetsons rolling around. The Rosie's the Jetsons maid. I'm aging myself now, but I know she's the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it doesn't mean that we don't have to deal with it. We do have to deal with it. And another analogy that's in the modern era, which is computers. So there's a book called When Computers Are Human, because computers was a job title.
Yeah.
Okay. And during the war, by the way, they're all women.
Yeah.
Okay. And their job was to compute.
Right.
Because there were no computers, and so the big companies, governments, and military operations produced huge amounts of paperwork, and it all had to be calculated. So there was these acre-sized offices with desks, butt to butt,
Right.
of computers with an adding machine, an inbox and outbox,
Yeah.
and just a huge cacophony of, that's an underutilized word, by the way, cacophony
Yeah.
of activity. And in a matter of couple of decades, those huge offices with computers were replaced by the mainframe, and
Right.
all those jobs disappeared. And we didn't really notice all the jobs disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have a pretty good track record of having information technology create automation. I mean, the modern spreadsheet does things that would require huge amounts of effort in the past.
Right.
So we've done that really well. The question maybe for another blog post is, well, where did those jobs go, right? How did we make that change? And I have an answer for it. The only thing that's really scary is that despite what I said earlier, disruption is happening. It's happening more in regular algorithms than anything else right now. Like, technology is already disrupting people, but it's more routine automation than anything else, not this scary AI stuff. But now it's happening so broadly that that we're not equipped to handle the free market to absorb the labor shift by creating new jobs. And this
Yeah.
is something that this is something that's going to cause a lot of misery, and we'll fall into that trap of a whole generation suffering the consequences of our progress if
Yeah.
we don't come up with a smarter approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it is happening, but we've kind of built up a not a realistic vision of what it's going to be like in the near future. But it is something that we need to prepare for. And just based on what you're saying, you have some thoughts on, what that's going to look like and how we can best, prepare, and not only prepare, but optimize on what that future will look like. So definitely I'm going to make an effort to get you on another one of those calls to explore those thoughts, because I'm very interested to hear what you think that future will look like and how we can deal with it. But for today, thank you so much. That was fantastic as always, and I look forward to picking your brain on the next edition of this podcast. So thanks, Christian, and have a fantastic day.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cheers.
See you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.